Inside your program, you'll see Captain Christian's bio, but I'd like to quickly touch on some of his accomplishments. Captain Christian was wounded in action 7 times in Vietnam. He earned the Distinguished Service Cross for extraordinary heroism, 2 Silver Stars for valor. And if you look in the program at his photo, this guy has run out of space on his uniform for all the medals he's got. He's best known for his work to champion the causes of our nation's veterans. During Vietnam, Captain Christian performed long-range reconnaissance as a Green Beret behind enemy lines. On October 29, 1968, during a firefight with enemy soldiers, then Lieutenant Christian found he and his men under intense automatic weapons fire and a rocket-propelled grenade attack. With his men pinned down and being just 10 meters from an enemy fortified bunker, Lieutenant Christian disregarded his own safety and single-handedly charged the bunker, destroying the enemy with hand grenades. Despite this short-lived victory, Lieutenant Christian and his team again found themselves under intense fire by communist reinforcements. Lieutenant Christian attacked them again with anti-tank weapons, even though he was painfully wounded. For nearly 2 hours, he directed artillery fire until his reinforcements arrived. Badly needing to be evacuated himself, he refused medical treatment until all of his men were cared for. Captain Christian is truly an amazing American hero. And who better to speak to us tonight about the value of our country and the pulse of our citizens than Captain David Christian. Captain.
Good evening. I asked my brother, what should I wear to the function tonight? So I wear my uniform. He said, no, I says, what you need to do is just have a cowboy hat. So I could have came with no clothes on and a cowboy hat. I'd have been appropriate, he said. I wrote a couple words here. I'm from Pennsylvania. I was born in Gainesville, Florida. My brother was born in Gainesville, Florida. We both have the same father. I don't know his mother. He don't know my mother. So, but we have a good relationship. And why bring a Pennsylvania cowboy when you have so many cowboys and so many people that want to enforce the law, serve the community, serve the country? And I just want to tell you that all the police chiefs and assistant police chiefs that I'm sitting with, my brother, Odia Gene Cox Christian, he's got a lot of names. I'm here because I've walked in your path. I have not walked in your shoes. I remember the first time I was shot and the bullet went through my body, and I was only 18 years old, and I was in charge of the outfit in Vietnam. And what went through my body is when I saw the blood drip onto the ground, I thought, geez, I can join the VFW now. I really didn't think anything serious because I knew God was on my side and I wanted to bring my men out of this thing. So walking in your path is not easy. Yes, I was a teenage officer, and I want to experience with you that I was the youngest lieutenant, the youngest commissioned officer since the Civil War. So that was something different. And as an officer taking over a unit and going into a hostile situation, which many of you folks had to do, and somebody had to take charge, and maybe you had to switch in taking charge. Each time, there's great fighters like Joe Louis, even Rommel from Germany, Patton. They said if someone faces a conflict and doesn't have butterflies, they're going to be a fool and they're going to lose. So I had conflict in terms of many times of people wanting to kill me, And I had lots of butterflies, ladies and gentlemen. And everybody in this room has had butterflies. And you faced them, whether you're running for political office, you're facing some of the bad people. You have to unholster your weapon, walk up to a car, not knowing if that person sitting in the front seat of your car is going to put a bullet in your neck. It's a big thing. Service to one's country is taken for granted by the community. The reason I'm asked here to speak tonight because times changed. When I served my country, 58,000 men died. 300,000 men were hospitalized, wounded. The same as during World War I. And I served in Vietnam. Today, things have changed in the sense of service because it's no longer everybody gave the Vietnam veterans a bum rap in the sense of a hug or a kiss or we love you. And it's changed such that it's odd, but now the police are in the same situation in society as the Vietnam veterans were. And that's why I say that I've walked your path. I see on the evening news the police are being ambushed. I see in the evening news we have lost as many policemen protecting their communities, taking an oath, as we have lost soldiers in the war on terror in Afghanistan. It's a real difficult situation. And some of the neighbors and some of your friends, they think you have it good. They think you have it lucky. It's difficult. As we all know, it's difficult. History has changed to the extent that these people that may be hurting you are not Afghanis, they're not from Iraq, but they're fellow Americans. You're trying to keep control in your own community. It could be a domestic violence situation. You show up to bring peace, and unfortunately, they turn on you. More officers have been killed and wounded than I want to ever mention, trying to bring peace to a household. And when they do bring peace to the household, and they arrest the person who is carrying a weapon or beating the wife or whatever, the spouse is the first person to show up at the police station, and they're against the police officer, saying the police officer is at fault. America was wrong when it disrespected the military. I can give you a quote from JFK. JFK, and I want to apply it to police tonight. In his speeches, he used to say, "Poor is a nation that has no heroes, but beggared is a nation that has and forgets." And from myself, I added another sentence to that from Captain Christian. Wretched is a nation that has heroes and mistreats. And it's so exciting to be in the audience here tonight, to fly in from Pennsylvania, and to see you honoring your fellow service people. Maybe the person sitting across from you in a squad car, maybe somebody runs in and they does something above and beyond the call of duty. They're a police officer, but they save a young child in the house. You've done this. And sometimes you come home and you have to say the same thing, and your wife will ask you, "What'd you do today?" And it's hard. It's really hard to say what you did, because you have to say it over and over. You're doing the same thing. And why do they take people when they're young in the military? Why do they take people young to be police officers? Because you need to do extraordinary things. How many people in this room are veterans? Just give me a raise of hands for veterans there. Why don't we applaud the members of the table for the veterans? America started to change They started to change, and they realized what they did to those that were Vietnam veterans, and maybe they gave the short shaft. And the Vietnam veterans said, never again, we're not going to have this happen to any other group of veterans in our community. And now we have to say it as a community, as a country. We can't have it for our police. We can't have it for our EMTs, for our firemen, for anybody that shows up at a crisis, for them to take a bullet, for them to be assassinated, for them to be ambushed. It's a chilling effect. Number one, you got to fill out paperwork because you unholstered your weapon. All the pressure is on the police officer. I saw a television show. The journalists of the world seem to think American police officers are all wild and crazy cowboys. Well, we are crazy and we are wild, but we know how to hold and when to hold, when to fold, and when to walk away. But they had a show on television, and the show demonstrated police arriving to a house. The burglar was in the house, and the police ran through the house to apprehend the burglar. The woman who called the police turned around and told the police officer that she's going to sue him because of her rug. He didn't wipe his feet. You tell me something's not wrong with America. I never heard, when I was a little boy, of anybody, if you killed a cop, you died. You got the chair. We didn't have chemicals or whatever else back there. But people didn't walk around with disrespect for police officers. Police officers came to your school. To touch a police officer, just to touch their leg, touch their hand, to be with a police officer, to ride in a car with a police officer, what a great honor. Now today, to assassinate a police officer, people in the community think that's an honor. I think it's a disgrace. It is now time to start the change. We have to start thinking in America, what happened with Vietnam veterans? What changed for them? And I look to the political table here because you really have the impact of leading. Having the Pledge of Allegiance said at your meetings, a moment of silence for those that have given, a moment of silence if you believe in a God, a moment of silence if you don't. But it's time to start changing America for the better. And you do that. What we did for Vietnam veterans, we used to say, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. I know I spent 7 years in military hospitals. I was shot in the hand, the back, machine gunned across the chest, stabbed in the left arm. I had 40% of my body burned with napalm. Even got to drive an electric wheelchair. My wife is here with me tonight. She flew down from Pennsylvania also because of Anthony Hogan. He's being very gracious, and my brother let Anthony win in a round of golf. So as a result, Anthony invited me here. But I want to tell you this evening, we have to start saying to each other and to our friends, thank you for your service. You have to look at the other table and reach across the table. I bet you everybody doesn't know everyone's name at their table. When you leave, you should know each other's names. You'd exchange things on Facebook if you're allowed to. Some police departments are not allowed to, believe it or not. So social media is being used against those that are trying to enforce the laws of our community. And I will end with a quote from a police officer. He was the chief of police in Philadelphia. He was a mayor of the city of Philadelphia. They just tore down his statue they had in Philadelphia because he was a police officer. Not because he was a mayor, but because he was a police officer. His name is Frank Rizzo, and he was a great mayor. And Frank used to say to crowds of people that would challenge the police, And he would, wasn't gender correct sometimes. He wasn't politically correct. And a young journalist was in his face one day, and he said, look, young lady. He said, when you're being robbed, when you're being raped, when you're being killed, who are you going to call? Think of it for a second. And when someone tells you it's time to defund the police, when someone tells you something negative about the police and they're disrespecting the police, say no thank you. I love the police. I love my community. I love Grand Prairie. I love Dallas. I love Fort Worth. And because of us, you people are safe. Believe it or not, you are the army of America. Whether it was the Texas Rangers that started some police work here in Texas, but an evolution has happened, and now it's you. You're on the front lines, the very front line. And the bullet that killed a man in the Revolutionary War, that same bullet can kill a man or a woman today, can malinger or wound a person today. And I fight for those people today. And they can get depressed today. And they can commit suicide today. Members of the police force that have been sent home because they can't do their duty end up drinking too much today, getting depressed today, and members of the police force can also commit suicide today. We owe something to the police. And as a soldier, I want to say to everyone in this room, a former soldier, that retired me from the military for my wounds, as a captain when I was 21 years of age, with full rank and privileges, as a Captain 03. And I want to thank everyone in this room, because without you, I may not have a neighborhood. Without you, we could have anarchy. And so thank you very much tonight. Don't worry about the folks who are saying they're going to defund the police. They're going to get rid of the police and they disrespect the police, because those folks are going to start hearing from us, every one of us in this room. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, you're a one-eyed horned toad, you're independent, whatever you are, you say to the police, thank you for your service. And that'll get you a long way. Thank you.